Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for new stories from Yellowcat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Retail workers. What's the best threat you've ever received at work? A lady came to one of the cashiers saying she couldn't make her movie and wanted a refund. The thing is, the coupon that she used to buy the ticket was non-refundable. After apologizing, saying, "We can't give you a refund for this ticket because the coupon you used is non-refundable," she flips and demands proof in the manager. The manager explains/repeats everything we said and apologizes. She starts rambling about how we were rude and can't read. He asks, "What would you like me to do?" "Give me a refund. I can't insert reasons." She then whips out her phone and says, "You know what? I'm going to blog about you." He turns and says, "Go ahead, here's my card." Then she walks over to us and screeches, "I have over 5,000 friends on Twitter and I'm going to tweet about all of you." We couldn't help but yell out all Twitter names and say, "Add me." One of my coworkers found her Twitter and showed us. We laughed and continued the night on a happy note with the rest of our competent customers. Many years ago at Starbucks, a 45-ish businessman approaches. Me, "Hey, how's it going?" Customer, "How's it going? This isn't an effing McDonald's, okay? You will address me as sir and take my order like an effing professional. Do you understand me?" Me sarcastically, "Good day to you, sir, and welcome to the Starbucks Coffee Corporation, where it is our aim to..." At this point, the guy is behind the counter and completely in my face, ready to throw down. I'm laughing and the manager grabs him and escorts him to the door. Unlike most expelled customers, he never showed up again. This story actually reminds me of a recent encounter I had at a Starbucks-like establishment. I don't really want to get specific to maintain some of my anonymity 2 months ago. Anyway, I was standing in line for my usual morning cup and I noticed the line was a bit longer and moving a bit more slowly. Turns out there was only one barista busting her A trying to manage the register and make everyone's coffee. I find out why later in the story. So I'm standing behind this businessman who is getting visibly angrier as each minute ticks by. He's turning red, sweating, murmuring to himself, checking his watch, and making obnoxious snorting noises every time the barista says something like, "I'll get this right to you, sir." Finally, it comes to his turn. Mind you, it's the end of the breakfast rush. I'm already late to class, but GD, life is good, and this person is not to blame for my choice to wait in line for glorious caffeine instead of getting there on time. And it was his choice too. "Can I get an effing black coffee?" "Absolutely, sir, sorry." "You know what? I could give an F if you're sorry. I've got a meeting to get to and you took your sweet time making everyone's triple caramel pieces of S. Why didn't you think of asking if people needed black coffee to just cut forward?" "Oh, you didn't think of things like this, which is why you work in a coffee shop." At this point, I had enough. I probably should have stepped in earlier, but I figured he was doing a good job embarrassing himself. "Excuse me, sir," I interrupted his rant. "Sir, there's no need to shove her. No need to get violent." He just gave me a "what the F are you talking about" look. "Do I need to call the cops, miss? I saw him reach over the counter and push you down. That's assault. Are you hurt?" They both stood there in silence. Finally, he spoke. "Are you effing kidding me? I didn't touch her. Go ahead, a-hole, call the cops. They aren't going to believe your word over mine. I'm a D adult, for God's sake. Who the F does you think you are?" I unzipped my winter coat and showed him my short white coat underneath. "I'm a medical student, sir. It's your word against mine and this barista's, and my uncle is the district attorney." This was a lie. "So why don't you shut the F up, pay for your coffee, and go to work?" He didn't bother replying. He grabbed his coffee, stared me down as he walked by, and left. The barista thanked me by giving me a drink for free. I still tipped. In my dark and sordid past, I worked at a Pizza Hut. There was this one guy who would send his teen son in to get their order. Invariably, they'd arrive early and their order would not be ready yet. The son would leave the store and the father would come in and start yelling about how lousy we were never having their pizza done, etc. The same guy would get his pizza, take it home, and then call later saying we had messed up his order. My manager would always tell him that if he returned with the pizza, we would remake it for him. He'd always say that they ate it anyway, etc., but he'd want free pizza instead. My manager never gave in to that demand, but always told him that as long as he brought the bad pizza back, she'd make him another to replace it. After a few of these episodes, my manager and I developed a procedure to handle his orders. On his order, we would document when he called, how long we told him it would take, and we would add at least 15 minutes to his order time. When he came, we would show him his pizza and make him confirm it was correct and to his satisfaction. Well, he stopped coming in. He would make his son pick up the pizza. We would go through the process with his son. The guy would still try to call in later and complain. So we started refusing to sell his family's order to anyone but him. One very busy Saturday, I am running the main register. He makes his order, comes in, and is waiting with everyone else. His turn comes. I retrieve his order, start showing it to him, and he starts in complaining loudly that we never get his order right. I ask him what is wrong with the pizzas in front of him. He doesn't answer but continues to rant loudly about how we are the worst, etc. While he is ranting, I close up his pizza boxes and set them back on the warmer. He stops and looks at me. I then calmly tell him that since it is obvious that there is no pleasing him, I am not going to bother selling him the pizzas he ordered. He turns about 6 shades of purple, lunges at me, and then tries to climb over the counter and grab his pizzas off the rack. I step back, grab his pizzas, and hand them to a coworker and tell them to take his pizzas to the back and get my manager. The guy runs out the door and all of the other customers are just standing there wondering what they just witnessed. I call the next name and start selling pizzas again. Later, my manager comes to me and tells me she called the guy and told him he was banned from buying pizzas from us ever again. Well, about a month later, I'm running the register, call out a name, and the guy's teen son comes up to the register. He's his usual friendly self. I sell him his pizzas, but I notice he looks different. Prior to this, the kid would look like he had been in a fight or was bruised in some way. This time, he had no cuts, bruises, or band-aids on him. I didn't say anything. He took his pizzas and left. For the next few weeks, we'd get an order for the family under the new name. We'd fill it. The kid would pick it up and pay for it. We never heard any complaints. I'd still show him the pizzas before I rang him up. He'd always be very happy and tell us the pizzas looked great, etc. Then, one early afternoon, my manager asked me to show up a little early. She said there was a meeting I had to attend due to a customer requesting a meeting with both of us. The request had come through our corporate office. I get to work. My manager tells me that the guy had called corporate and demanded a meeting be set up. Corporate had talked to my manager and she had filled them in on his ordering habits, etc. Her boss then said he would attend the meeting too. She told me to keep an open mind, allow her to do her job and see what happens. The guy shows up, has his wife with him and his teen son. My manager introduces her boss to the guy. He introduces his wife and kid to us. Then my manager asks, "So what can we do for you?" He asks me if I remember the last time he and I talked. I nodded. He goes on to say that it was very memorable to him also. He said his actions had scared him and made him take a good long look at himself. He said that, long story short, he had gotten help and was there to apologize to me for the way he had acted. I just stood there. I didn't know what to say. He said what he was doing was something that he felt he needed to do. Up to that night, his life had been out of control and that he had almost lost his family over the way he had been. His wife thanked us, and he shook my hand, and my manager said some things, excused me, and I headed into the back of the store to prepare for my shift. She later filled me in on the rest of her conversation. After he left that night, he'd gone home without the pizzas. After my manager had called and told him he was banned, his wife packed up her stuff and left him, telling him that until he got help, he could forget about having either of them in his life. So I figure it was her giving him an ultimatum more than what went on in our store that gave him good reason to do something about his problem. I'm currently working at an art supply store that isn't open until this Thursday. We've been in store since the 4th of February setting it up, and people always try to come inside, ignoring the 3 giant coming soon signs in the banner. Most people get to the automatic doors, realize they won't open, look around, and see the signs, then leave. Well, it was about 9:01 p.m. We close at 9 regularly, and some a-hole shows up and knocks on the door. I pry the doors open and tell him that we're closed. He says, no, it'll only take a minute. Open or back up. I say, no sir, we're literally closed for the month. A-hole, what about all the S on the shelves? Me, you mean the 1/3 of the store that's stocked? Yeah, we're in the process of opening this store. The sign says February 25th. A-hole, give me the store phone number. I'm calling your manager. Me, the store isn't open, the phone doesn't work, but my manager is in the back. I can go get her. A-hole, no boy, I'm dealing with you. Me, well, we're closed. A-hole, threatening voice, just you wait, I'm coming back. Me, but that's what I've been trying to get you to do. Guy goes to his car and peels out and leaves. I work at a retailer that sells popular body products. Fragrances come and go, that's just how it is. They can't keep them all forever. Well, sometimes people get so upset when I tell them their fragrance is no longer in stores. However, most of them are online. Lady comes in today and demands a fragrance we don't have in stores. I very politely tell her we do not carry it in stores, but she can still find it online. She loses it. She starts screaming about how I am incompetent and how she should be able to buy it in store if it is online. Keep in mind, she is yelling at me, like screaming over an effing scent of lotion. I tell her most online-only products are marketed that way, and I give her a customer service card because she is so irate and this company is obsessed with making customers happy. I tell her she can have 20% off her purchase. She screams at me and tells me if I don't give her money to cover shipping, she's going to make me sorry. I tell her I can't just take money from the store. She says, not from the store, you should give it to me. She wanted me to hand her money from my own effing pocket to cover shipping. She actually said, I don't think I'm being unreasonable. I basically just stared at her. She said she was coming back and I might want to reconsider. I was a manager of a clothing store boutique in the mall. I got the gig through a friend who later quit opening up his manager position for me. Anyways, it was cake. All I did was make the schedule and enter a code to approve returns. One day, I'm walking the floor and this lady flags me down. Son, does that young man have an earring in his ear? Yes, he does. I'd like to speak to the manager. Well, you're in luck. How can I help you? I just think that's very, showy, if you catch my drift. I'm afraid I don't, ma'am. If he's cute, he should just keep that to himself. And it's your job to make sure he doesn't come to work like that. I'm sorry it offends you. He isn't gay, he's not making a statement. Well, if you aren't going to do anything about it, I'll just everyone I know that there are Fs working here. And she left, and I barreled over with laughter. 6 months later, we went out of business. I guess she knew more people than I thought. Thank you for watching. Guys, thank you for all the support and the likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. See you next time.